So we should be live now.
Okay, thank you very much, Jill. Council, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:34. To those from the public, we apologize for the late start to this evening's council meeting. We had some technical glitches, and that seems to happen with this virtual environment that we live in from time to time. This meeting may be recorded, streamed live, and published in accordance with council's electronic recording meeting policy. To those present, by attending this electronic meeting of the municipality of Southwest Middlesex, you are consenting to your image, voice, or comments being made, recorded, and published. Anyone who's invited to speak may be recorded, and their voice, image, or comments will form part of the live stream and recording. Today's meeting may be streamed live as well as recorded and published on the Southwest Middlesex website. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 3 on the agenda. Additions to the agenda, are there any? Failing which, may I have a motion from someone to adopt the agenda as circulated? Moved by Martin Vink.
Martin
Seconder,
wanted
please.
to add something to the agenda.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, yes, what would you like added?
I just want to point out, Mayor Allen, that I have a couple of councillor comments.
Okay, we'll put those at the end of the meeting. Krista, did I miss you there? What kind of, did you have something to add? Okay. Okay, I will ask for a motion that the agenda be adopted as circulated with the addition of a couple of councillor comments.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, a seconder for that.
Second.
Thank you, Ian Crothers, Councillor Crothers. Any discussion? In favor? Carried unanimously. Number 4 on the agenda is delegations and presentations. There are none. Number 5 is a consent agenda. Vouchers in the amount of $1,583,693.53. I'll go from 15152. Oh, Martin, go ahead. Question, Martin?
Yeah, I just have one. Yes, Mayor, Allen, just one question under vouchers.
Yes.
044634. We paid a large amount of the bill for River Road. What is the status of River Road now?
We can bring that up in the, we can bring that up later in the meeting. The nature of the questions on vouchers is the amount and what it's for. That's a public works question. We'll bring that up down the road, okay? So we'll get an answer to that.
Sure.
Okay. Southwest Middlesex Council meeting of June 24th. Any errors or omissions? 5.3, 4 Counties Health Services. 5.4, OPP revenue distribution process. 5.5, Canadian Federation of Independent Business. 5.6, landfill approval rights. I'm watching for hands here, Council. 5.7, resolution City of Sarnia, long-term care and improvements. 5.8, Tribunals Ontario, assessment review board fee increases. And 5.9, Southwest Middlesex Economic Development Strategy Report.
I had a question on that now.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I may be missing it here, but I was just wondering on the economic development strategy, what are the top 5 priority actions? I see that it's highlighted a few times, but I just couldn't find what the 5 were.
I'll give it to you.
If you look in the attached,
Yeah,
in the attachment, the economic development strategy is included with the report, and
yeah.
it lists them in the report.
It is in there. Hey, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, it is. First impressions were one, better media communications were as well, but it is in the report, Mike, in its
Okay,
entirety.
I'll look
There's
for it there
extra
then.
copies.
I didn't think it was. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and hard copies are available at the
Okay.
municipal building. We'll get you one.
Thanks.
On the top of the agenda, it says 9 of 27. On that page, it shows the top 5.
Got it.
Questions? And 510, Council, Southwest Middlesex Facilities and Recreation Business Plan Update. Yes, Martin, go ahead.
Mayor Allen, to Steve, I just had a quick question on the child care facility. You mentioned because of the delay, the costs are expected to be higher. Why is that? Is just because of the delay, or it's going to take more labor, or what's your opinion why it's going to be higher?
We can, Steve, if you want, can answer that quickly now, you can, or if it is in depth, we'll have to move that to number 12. Would you rather deal with it in number 12?
Through you, Mayor Mayhew. No, I can speak to that now. That
Okay, go ahead.
is, thank you, sir. That was speculative, that comment when I made it. Since then, our project manager has led us to believe that the pandemic should not have a major increase in the cost. Or perhaps, no effect on the cost of the project.
Okay. Thank you. We'll keep an eye on that, Martin, as well as it goes along, but we still have to get things done. Okay, can I have any other questions with regarding the action correspondence, failing which if someone would move that they be adopted?
I'll move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bartlett, a second for that. Thank you very much, Councillor Vink. That's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the correspondence agenda being adopted? Carried. Number 6 on the agenda is the Committee of Adjustment to examine A01-2020 215 South Street, Glencoe, the application of Turner Homes. Can I have a motion that we move into Committee of the Adjustment to consider a planning action on Turner Homes at the hour of 7:42?
So moved.
Thank you. Ian and moved it. Barry Gay seconded it. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. So again, we'll call the meeting to order of the Committee of Adjustment at 7:42. Today's meeting is being held as a virtual meeting due to the declared emergency. In order to keep everyone safe, we are taking this measure to stop the spread of COVID-19. Although this meeting is visual, we will attempt to record, stream live, and publish in accordance with Council's electronic recording media policy. Due to the pandemic and the requirements for social distancing, to keep you safe, we are not able to allow the public to attend this meeting. Normally, by attending an open public meeting of the municipality of Southwest Middlesex, you are consenting to your image, voice, and/or comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak may be recorded, and their voice, image, or comments will form part of the live stream. Today's meeting may be streamed live as well as recorded and published on the Southwest Middlesex website. Council, is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 3 on the committee's agenda, additions to the agenda. Would someone entertain a motion that the agenda be accepted as circulated? Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, and thank you for seconding that, Councillor McGill. All in favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations? None. Minutes of the meeting of June 24th. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt the minutes as circulated? Councillor Ian Crothers, seconded by Councillor Bartlett. All in favor? Carried. Members of the public wishing to comment on an application have been encouraged to provide written submission to the clerk by email or by mail to 153 McKellar Street on or before Tuesday, July 7th. The clerk will contact all persons who indicated in their written submission that they intend to make oral submissions at this meeting to provide electronic access instructions. Members of the public who do not provide written submissions to the clerk in advance of the meeting and decide to provide comment or oral submission while the meeting is ongoing need to confirm their interest in so doing during the comment recess, which will occur later on in this meeting, and make their comments, oral submissions during the oral submissions of other participants. I will call this public meeting to order. 215 South Street, Turner Home at 7:46. The purpose of this meeting is to give the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to a minor variance application by Turner Homes, and for Southwest Middlesex Committee of Adjustment to consider the proposal. The purpose and effect of the application for minor variance is to seek relief from Southwest Middlesex's comprehensive zoning bylaw number 211-065 section 64.3 in order to construct a single unit dwelling with a rear yard setback of 15.9 feet, whereas the minimum rear yard setback is 19.6 feet. Council, that difference is 3.7 feet. The land are designated residential in the municipality's official plan and are zoned residential first density specific site R12-1 in the municipality's zoning bylaw. The first order of procedure will be the planner will present the staff and recommendations and will provide any comments received from circulated agencies and the public. Stephanie, you're with us. We'll have you on mute, and thank you very much, Stephanie. Take it away.
Thank you. So in order to accommodate a dwelling that meets the minimum floor area requirements of the residential first density zone of 100 square meters or 1,076 square feet and be large enough to be considered marketable, a minor variance was needed for a rear yard setback deficiency of 1.14 meters or 3.7 feet for a portion of the rear wall of the building. The remaining portion of the rear yard setback exceeds 8 meters or 26 feet, meeting the minimum rear yard setback requirement of 6 meters or 19.6 feet. Staff are of the opinion that the variance is considered minor as the lot has a unique triangular shape and size for an infill lot, making it difficult for a building footprint to meet all applicable zoning standards. And the proposed single unit dwelling would meet all other zoning standards. Staff are of the opinion that the variance is considered an appropriate use of the lands as they are designated and zoned for residential purposes. And the construction of a single unit dwelling with a rear yard setback of 4.86 meters or 15.9 feet, whereas the minimum rear yard setback is 6 meters or 19.6 feet, is considered to be appropriate as it would provide the subject lands with enough backyard amenity space. And staff do not anticipate any adverse negative impacts as a result of the variance. The variance maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan as the subject lands are designated residential and single-unit dwellings are permitted on the subject lands. The intent of the rear yard setback is to provide an appropriate separation distance between uses, to provide amenity space for the owners of the dwelling, and to ensure that there is adequate space for maintenance purposes. Staff are of the opinion that the variance and the distance between the proposed single unit and the rear lot line will provide enough amenity space, maintaining the intent of the zoning bylaw. The application has been circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, and we have received a comment from the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, who has noted no objections to the proposal. And so it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. The next order of procedure will be the applicant will be allowed the opportunity to speak to the application. And Jill, I don't believe there's anyone present. Is that correct?
No, Mr. Turner is here.
Oh, is he? Great. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. The applicant, we certainly would be pleased to hear from him. Yeah. Mr. Turner, are you with us?
You'll have to turn off mute.
Yeah. Yeah. Wayne, if you're there, yeah, you're set to go, Wayne. And Mr. Turner, can you hear me? We'll give him a second here. Mr. Turner, if you would like to write my cell number down, you could call me if you'd like, if you can hear me. My cell number is 519-872-5730. 519-872-2730. And Mr. Turner, if you give me a call, I'll put my phone up to my microphone, if that would help you in any way. Has anyone got Wayne's cell phone number? Oh, just a minute. Hello there, Mayor Mayhew.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Is this Wayne?
Yep.
Yeah, Wayne. Let me see if you. It's too bad you've got a few difficulties there, but I thought maybe this might come to your rescue if we could get you on the phone. If you'd like to make some comments on this application, perhaps I can just put the phone up to the speaker and you'll be talking to all of council and the public, okay?
All right then. I would just, the house that we're building there is very conformative to the other ones we've been building on the street there. Actually, we probably built 6 or 7 just like this house. And I think it'll look really good on the street and finish off that end. And it is a tough lot to get something to build on, like any size. So I would just appreciate and be able to build this house. We do have it out. We have it sold conditional upon minor variance. So I think that's good. But if you have any questions, we can let you know.
Okay. Well, Mr. Turner, if you could just hold on there and we keep our connection. I'll ask council for their questions at this point in time, okay? So you stick with me and I'll advise you of those questions.
Thank you.
Council, the next order of course are members' questions. Councillor Vink, your question? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Allen. Okay, thank you. I have no problem with the minor variance, other than I'm kind of surprised that we get it now after the building is up. I would have thought that this would have been done before the building got started.
We haven't started the buildings yet. It's still a vacant lot.
Yep, it is. This is a triangular lot, Martin. It's not the conventional sized lot. It's a triangular piece of land. If you check the map on the Stephanie's report, you'll see that it's a long, narrow, triangular piece of land.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I just thought that usually the minor variance would come before you start building.
I don't believe that there has been no building as of yet, Martin.
No, it's still.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's just dirt.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Yes,
We're just waiting for the minor variance to go through.
yep. And Mr. Turner has just reiterated that he's waiting for the minor variance to go through prior to building. Councilor McGill, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, I was just by there a couple days ago, just
Okay,
dirt there.
okay,
But there's
thank you.
another new house farther down the street that was built by Turner Homes as well.
Are there any other questions for council? Okay, and Mr. Turner, you stick with me here, okay? Okay, no more members' remarks. The next order of business are oral submission delegates. Are there any, Jill?
Yes, sir, there are. So I can read that out.
Yes.
We
Mhm.
received one from Mr. Mike Ansari. So reading from his submission. Our company in the past were the developers for South Street Glencoe. At the time of construction, when we were building the houses on South Street Glencoe, we left the lot number 215 without attempting to build a house to match the other houses on the street due to this lot being an odd shape. We left it without a building due to the following reasons. This lot is an odd shape and it is the entrance to the subdivision. Any change of the zoning should allow an approximate rectangular lot. The design of this house should be approved by the village before construction. It should be appealing to the rest of the existing houses on South Street side and into phase 2 and 3 development on South Street, which is expected to start in the very near future. I suggest the village make sure that the building of the house does not exceed the rectangular shape of the lot. I suggest that the building lot be divided and make it an approximate rectangular shaped lot. Then make the triangular shape to be left as an open space, which would be suitable to a nice garden to plant nice shrubs and grass. The village should possess this triangle facing the west entrance of the subdivision and for the future to be an attractive entrance feeding into an attractive subdivision. As the village is aware, there is a phase 2 and 3 coming for this development soon. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Mike Ansari, with his address and phone number.
Okay. Thank you, Jill. Just the one, is there?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, council, you can take that into consideration when you vote. Written submissions, we've got that. Yes, Martin, go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Yes, Mayor, I'm just trying to get myself clear on what Mr. Ansari was saying. Phase 2 and 3, is he referring to the land behind that lot? Or
No,
is he
no.
referring to South Street further down?
South Street as it is now and South Street perhaps as is proposed to be extended, but the land behind that will still remain agriculture.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cal, go ahead.
Did we not just sell this property a few months ago? And how did we come into ownership of the property? It was my understanding that these properties were provided as collateral when the subdivision was made. So wouldn't that mean that it hadn't necessarily been left open by design, but by the fact that they did not own the property?
And there's a story there, yes. There was, I believe the second phase of asphalt was never put on the road, so we deemed the properties in place of the second lift of asphalt, as I recall. Yeah.
Point
Go ahead.
of order. Through the mayor that question, please, is directed to the CAO.
Okay, you didn't tell me that.
No,
you,
and
Jill.
I
Would you like to answer? Go ahead, Jill.
It's 20 hours.
Through you, Mayor Mayhew. So you're correct. There was an agreement that was put in place because the first phase of that subdivision had not been completed after a number of years. So part of that secondary agreement had that lot turned over to the municipality as collateral, essentially. And so council determined recently that it was surplus to the needs of the municipality, and the benefit of it was really to get some money to pay for the cost of finishing that portion of the work that had not been done by the developer at the time. With respect to the second phase of the development, I would just offer, it's my understanding, and Stephanie can correct me, but there has been a already approved second phase of the subdivision as part of the plan of subdivision. There's been indication of red line revisions. We don't have anything further from them on that. And a third phase is a different process.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Crothers, go ahead.
I guess I fail to see why the phase 2 is at the far end, the east end of South Street, which is probably close to a quarter mile away. That's phase 2. Phase 3 is between South Street and the railroad tracks, which will have its own street apparently over there. So I really wonder what kind of impact a rezoning of 3 some odd feet in a backyard on this particular lot would have any, or why that would have any impact on phase 2 or 3 of Ansari's development. I just don't see the relevancy of it.
Okay, your point's taken. Any other questions from council? Jill, we will enter a short recess, a comment recess for approximately 5 minutes in order that there's any oral submissions of other participants that would be forthcoming. Would 5 minutes give you enough time, Jill, for that? Okay, that's fine. So council, just sit back and relax. Mr. Turner, you can remain on the phone if you wish. And we're going to take a short recess for 5 minutes, just to make sure there's no more oral presentations. Are you with me? Are you there?
Yep.
Okay,
Still here.
just a 5-minute recess. Okay, I think we can come back here. Thank you, Council, for your patience there. Jill, has there been any registrants?
No, sir, there have not.
Okay, thank you very much. There have been no additional comments on that, Mr. Turner. We can ask you for final remarks if you'd like to give them. And do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, not too much. Just built a lot of houses down there and looking forward to doing another one. And some of the things Mr. Ansari said, it just wouldn't work anyway, what he's talking about.
Okay.
It's not logical.
Yep.
So that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your patience on that. And we apologize for the delay in the meeting start there, but we'll open it up. Yes, Councillor Scholdice, and followed by Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'll move that we approve this minor variance.
Thank you very much. Seconder? Deputy Mayor, seconding that motion? I just need clarification on the Deputy Mayor's.
You're on mute, Mary Gay.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, yes, I second it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary Gay. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. I'll just terminate my connection with Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner, can I let you go now?
Very much.
Okay, so we kind of patched it up here, but we got it done. Okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, Council, on the committee agenda number 7, future meeting will be July 22nd,
Sorry,
2020.
that was moved and seconded.
Oh, I got to call it. It was moved and seconded and voted unanimously.
Perfect.
Okay. It was moved by Ian Crothers and seconded by Mary Gay Wilkins.
Councillor Scholdice?
Councillor Scholdice.
Deputy Mayor.
Actually, I did move it, Alan.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mike, thanks very much for the clarification. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, we have future meetings July 22nd. And we will adjourn the meeting at 8:11. We will reconvene the council, regular council agenda at 8:12. Council, at this point in time, I would like to introduce an individual who is among us tonight. We are very pleased to have Shannon Black with us. Shannon was the candidate we chose to lead our building team. She is the CBO, and she is joining us tonight. Shannon, I see you there on our screen. If you want to unmute and put your video on, it would be super. Shannon is our candidate for the chief building official. She will be presiding over the 3 municipalities of North Middlesex, Adelaide, Metcalfe, and Southwest Middlesex. Shannon comes with a solid background and a solid reputation. She is from the Ingersoll region. She has an understanding of both urban and rural scenarios, including commercial. And she has demonstrated these skills in Chatham, Kent, which is an area of both agri-urban mix, which I think qualifies her very well for this environment that she'll be working in within the 3 regions. Shannon, if you would like to give council a brief introduction of yourself, we'd be very pleased, and perhaps just a small reflection on your position. Oh, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can. Yep.
Perfect. So my name is Shannon Black, and I am the new CBO for the joint services that has been put together. I do come from the town of Ingersoll. I was in Ingersoll for the past 5 years. And prior to that, I was in Chatham, Kent. So I'm familiar with, as a deputy CBO there. So I'm familiar with the rural as well as, you know, the way a small town works. Ingersoll is still very much a small town. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to work with the mayors, the councils of all 3 municipalities, Jill and Jonathan out in North. They've both been great and welcoming and helping me gain my footing so that we can get this started properly. And we've been doing interviews today for the future inspector who will work underneath me and be out in your area helping your residents and developers be able to build safely. So yes, very excited to be here. Looking forward to creating this new venture. So thank you.
Thank you, Shannon, very much on behalf of council and Jill, administration and staff. We look forward to meeting you in a virtual manner sometime, and I think that will be quite soon. I think perhaps even tomorrow. That will be great, but it's a venue that we'll have to get used to, I'm afraid. But thank you once again, and thank you, Jill, for arranging her to be with us this evening. We appreciate it very much, and we look forward to meeting you.
Thank you, Shannon. I don't want to take up the rest of your evening. I know you've been waiting patiently for a couple-minute introduction, so thanks very much for coming out, and we are also looking very much forward to working with you and the Joint Committee and anxious to meet tomorrow and get things underway.
Good. Thank you. And thank you, Jill. Council will move on. Number 7 on the agenda, public meetings. There are none. No hands up. Number 8, staff reports. Fire. There is no report. Administration. One housekeeping bit to look after. Chief building official appointment. We have gone to a lot of work as 3 municipalities to arrange this. As you recall, this was part of our efficiency funding project. We thought it would give us better service and better value. And we require a motion that council approve the appointment by law of Shannon Black as the chief building official for Southwest Middlesex. Would someone entertain that motion?
Krista.
Moved by Ian Crothers, Councillor Crothers.
I believe Krista had her hand up for something.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, Krista, you're mute.
Just to move the motion, move the recommendation.
Can I ask you to second it? Would that be all right? I didn't see it. Okay. Seconded by Councillor Cal. Council, I'll open it to questions. Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Yeah, a little time delay there, guys. Good, all in favor? Yes, carried unanimously. The next order of business is health and safety. I'll hand this over to Jill. Jill, I may have been negligent not to hand that 8-1 over to you. This is an annual piece of housekeeping that councils have to do. And Jill, you can walk us through this if you'd like briefly.
Sure, through you, Bear. I will keep it brief. So we took the policy back through the Joint Health and Safety Committee just to see if they had any recommendations. The Joint Health and Safety Committee is made up of management staff from all of the departments, including the fire department. And they had no recommendations for changes, but since it's something that needs to be reviewed, we just wanted it to be acknowledged and put it forward for your consideration that it's reviewed and maintained as it is.
Thank you very much. The recommendation is before you, council. Would someone entertain that the motion be adopted?
I'll move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bartlett, and seconded by Councillor Vink. Discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Council, we have asked administration to bring us back a report after a period of time on our experience having 2 council meetings per month. Jill has done some homework on that, and she has recommended our choice of 3 particular scenarios. And Jill, would you be kind enough to walk us through this one as well?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, council wanted to pilot moving from 3 meetings a month with 1 afternoon meeting and 2 evening meetings to a different format with 2 meetings a month. So, but just as a pilot for the first half of 2020. So this report back is looking at the options available to you now and see whether or not council wishes to continue with what we're doing at the moment, or would like any other changes. But I've only really put forward 2 other potentials. Of course, council can come up with something else themselves if they wish. I think most of what you've seen, you're familiar with. We took a look previously at our neighboring municipalities within Middlesex County, and most of the municipalities have 2 or less meetings per month. There were no other councils with 3 meetings per month. And I just wanted to offer that one of the things that I thought of, which is important, is keeping efficient and effective meetings is part of the role of the chair and the council to make sure that the business of the municipality is moving ahead. And I think you've managed to do a really good job of that in the past 6 months, and with some really challenging situations as well, including just trying to get onto virtual meetings. But I also wanted to offer that some other municipalities have committees of adjustment and court of revisions, et cetera, as separate bodies that sit at different times. And I think you as a council demonstrate how effective you are at making these decisions and making the business continue on to run smoothly, because you just moved between 2 different bodies, probably without too many people even knowing you were doing that. So you're moving from council into committee of adjustment and back out again, and it's just counting towards 1 meeting. So I think that's very efficient, but it's also effective. Frankly, that's a cost savings to the taxpayers because they're not paying for a separate meeting that way. So those are some of the comments that I had. I think that you're managing to get through your meetings. This one might be a little longer just because we had a late start, but and the other point is we certainly have a lot of other meetings that each of you are members of. So there is a lot of time and energy that you spend as part of your public service and sitting on other boards and committees, et cetera. So I just want to thank you for that service. I'm happy to carry on with that as we're doing it. Having a change back, I think would just, it takes a little bit more time to prepare agendas and get things ready, but we can do that if that's what council wishes.
Thank you, Jill. Jill, just to clarify to council, we always go through a budgetary process, and we begin that approximately October, and that can extend into January very often. And the budgetary meetings are in, the budget meetings are in addition to the council meetings. They'll be separate meetings unto themselves. And so, council, there will be additional meetings throughout parts of the calendar year.
Mhm.
And from time to time, there are emergent meetings that come up. One is scheduled, I believe, for July 15th. More information will be coming out on that. And that in itself is an example where we don't get off too lightly with just 2 meetings a month. There will be things that come up, and I enjoy chairing single subject meetings at times of a great importance. If there's a lot of dollars involved, it's a big project, I think it's very beneficial to council to be focused on one particular piece of business. Council will hand the conversation over to you. I'm sure there'll be some discussion on that. Go ahead, Councillor Scholdice.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Given that we have not had what you would call a typical trial period, I'd like to suggest that this report be deferred to December so that we can judge once things get somewhat back to normal.
Okay, yeah, if there's any, we'll see if you have council's support on that. Councillor Scholdice, any other comments? Yes, Councillor Bartlett. Go ahead, Councillor Bartlett.
I think the status quo is working. You know, whether we do it virtually or in person, I think it's going to work anyway. So I would be, I would make a motion that we stay with the status quo.
Okay. Motion has been made, council. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Cowell, I saw your hand go up there. Is that a seconder? Okay, thank you. Council has been moved and seconded. We'll continue on with discussion. Councillor Vink, I saw your hand up there. Yes, go ahead, Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. That was for discussion. I'm trying to recall when we initially passed it, I believe the third meeting was going to be free of charge. Is that still the case?
I don't recall
I don't see any,
that conversation.
anything
Yes.
described in the options here. So I want to see what the situation is with that, because that's what I recall, that, for instance, this emergency meeting you are talking about next week, I believe that's going to be free of charge to the ratepayers.
Is that, Jill, can you clarify that statement?
Through you, so the procedure bylaw, my recollection, I'm not looking at it right this second, but that special meetings that are called, and it's a third meeting in a month, would be exempt from remuneration. I can double check though and send that out.
Yep. Okay, thanks for bringing that to our attention. Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I think as a council, in light of this pilot landing right in the middle of a pandemic, we've done very well. And so I'm happy to see that Councillor Bartlett and Councillor Cowell have supported a motion of status quo. I am asking though for a friendly amendment that we move to one meeting for August. And I say that because of vacations that happen with council members or staff members. It's a busy month, but I will remind council that AMO does happen every year in August. And it's a little hard sometimes for members who travel a distance to get back in time to fit in a meeting. And of course, we don't want to have two meetings together. We want staff to have time to prepare reports. So I'm politely asking Councillor Bartlett and Councillor Cowell if they would entertain a friendly amendment to that motion to go to one meeting in August.
Thank you. I'll give the two councillors a moment there to reflect, or Councillor Bartlett, go ahead.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, Councillor Cowell has seconded that motion. We want to make sure that you're in agreement, or we would like to know if you're in disagreement of that, but take a few moments if you wish.
I'm just concerned because the way our remuneration was set up was as a result of a breakdown in the meetings happening. I guess it would just mean we wouldn't get paid for that additional meeting. because we wouldn't be doing it. And I mean, for me, I don't have a problem with it being one meeting. And then if we needed one, we would have it because we wouldn't be at the 3 meeting mark kind of thing. So we still get paid for each meeting. And I'm totally comfortable coming in for a second meeting in August if there are building, community of adjustment, or anything that needs to be dealt with. I just am wondering if the staff has an opinion. I mean, does the staff have a position on this? I think, was that one of the options? I can't remember.
Actually, the second option was for one meeting for July and August.
Yes, the deputy mayor's recommendation is slightly different than option 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you get your thoughts there, Councillor Cowell. Councillor Crothers, go ahead.
Yes, my focus is not so much on the number of meetings. It's as I mentioned when we discussed going from 3 to 2 earlier, my main focus is that we have enough time to do the business properly without having to jam it or rush it through. Is that going to allow that? As far as whether 1 meeting, 2 meeting, 3 meeting, it should be geared on the workload that has to be done and not just a number for the number of meetings. So is 1 meeting in July and August going to be adequate? This is how I look at it.
I
Not a
just
number, but
just
whether
asked,
there's sufficient time.
I've just asked for an amendment that shows that we go to 1 meeting for August, Councillor Crothers, not
I know.
July and August. And we always have the option of calling a second meeting if staff realizes that there's too much work, too much to be decided in 1 meeting. So there is the option for that if staff believes we require a second meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that for the month of August, because at any point in time, if we needed an additional meeting, we could still have one. And I can appreciate that being at AMO and having the delegations is quite a workload while you're there. And then to ask staff to be coming with us, it's been very, very helpful to have even just 1 staff member come with us. And going forward in the future, it'll be in London, at least for a couple of years. So I think there's a benefit to that. So I'm comfortable with the amendment. I just wanted to speak, if I could, about it in general. I agreed with Councillor Schuldeis initially in my own mind when this came up. Could we make that decision now? And I think one of the things that this COVID-19 has shown us is how fortunate we were that we were already pared down to 2 meetings a month, because the workload would have been substantial for our staff to have been continuing 3 meetings on top of that. So when I thought back to January and how well we were doing in January and how much even better we're doing now when it comes to our timeframes and such, that was one of the reasons how come I thought, we've had a mix of both, and the new normal, we're going to have a new normal in December. So if we find that anything is not coming up, but in general, especially with you streaming live meetings, 1:30 in the afternoon, I just don't think is feasible. So that's part of the reason how come I wanted to support Councillor Bartlett in this. But I agreed with you, Councillor Schuldeis, initially, but I really did think we've had so much success. This was a really positive thing to come out of this council.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I'd still like to see 2 meetings in July and August. I felt with this experiment that we tried here, I'm not as informed of what's going on at council and with Southwest Middlesex as I was before. For example, the other day I was asked, since this new term, how many new people have we hired? And I couldn't really answer that. Then we increase our staff. And so, of course, that's partly to do with virtual. but it's also to do with less meetings. You're talking to less people, and so we've become less informed to talk to the public.
Well, I beg to differ with you there. I think there's a certain obligation of each counselor to become informed. And I don't believe our numbers of staff, if they've gone up, they've gone up very minimal. There have been people leave positions for maternity leave or have taken an early retirement. There have been things of that nature. But it's it's any information a counselor wants to obtain, it is readily available to him. He doesn't have to wait for a council meeting to obtain that information. He can obtain that information any day of the week just by asking administration or staff, or administration rather. Thank you, Jill. Go ahead.
So we would only have new staff in positions where there are new positions if council has approved it. So, we have entered into a contract arrangement for a part-time economic development position, but that was all, for example, approved in the budget. So we haven't hired new staff that council has not already approved the positions for. And in fact, have been able to gap one position during the pandemic to try and ease some of the budget challenges just based on a leave.
Thank you. Any other comments? Council, if I could make one and direct it to Councillor Crothers. In reference to do we have enough time to make decisions? That's the focus of it. When I look back at the minutes of the meetings, we are adjourning these meetings at 9:10, 9:15, 9:35. And when you look at meetings prior to the consent agenda and some of the improvements that we've made to make a time more efficient, we are actually adjourning these meetings earlier than we were prior to those revisions. So in terms of do we have enough time to discuss these things, we certainly do, because they're actually, the meetings are coming to a close earlier than they have been in the past. We do have a 10 o'clock curfew, and we're getting out well in advance of our curfew of 10. Okay, the motion has been, there's been a friendly amendment to the motion. Councillor Cal, just clarify your seconder position on that. It's good. Thank you very much. I had to ask that twice, Krista, just to make sure. Okay. All in favor of the motion with, and you will be having one meeting in August, bear in mind when you vote this. All in favor? Okay, I got to count some hands here, Jill. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 2. Okay, motion is carried.
Mayor Allen?
Yes, Martin, just kind of warn you, Martin, you're breaking up a little bit on us there, Martin. I'm not sure whether you realize it or not, but I can still hear you. Oh, I could hear you.
Yeah, yes, well, I have my hand up to make a further point.
Yeah, Martin, your screen's frozen.
And I want to comment on your consent agenda, which I voted.
Yeah, Martin, we've lost you, Martin.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Martin, I'm afraid we've lost you. I'm looking at the weather. I don't see any bad weather out there. We'll come back to Martin's concern once he's back. with us. Oh, there you are. You with us now, Martin? I see you moving, Martin. Are you with us?
I've been here all along on the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, I'm with you.
No, you're breaking up badly, Martin. Martin, I'm going to come back to you, but right now I've got no
There's
communication with
nothing
you.
I can do about that.
Yeah. Well, I can hear you now. Go ahead. Go ahead, Martin.
Mayor Mayhew, the vote's already been called on this.
Yes,
Oh,
it has.
you can hear me now?
I
Yeah.
will remind you.
Yeah. Okay, but Martin, the vote's been called. You can bring it up in the
Okay.
comments and inquiries if you wish.
Yes, I have my hand up before. Deputy Mayor Wilkins, I have my hand up before the vote and it was ignored. So my point about the consent agenda was I voted against that. There's information that's in the consent agenda that's not being given to the ratepayers. Now we have people writing to Kristen outside the meeting, and those points should be given in a meeting so the ratepayers can hear it. So this is why the meetings are shorter, because the ratepayers aren't getting to hear as much information.
Martin, you have a choice to pull those consent agendas out for discussion. And we do that every meeting. And I'd like to just a point of order on what you said. I don't ignore any counselor, Martin, particularly you. I have treated you with respect at every council meeting that I have attended. And the only reason I did not see your hand up is that your screen was frozen, Martin. There was no movement. Your hand did not appear on my screen. So I can assure you, Martin, I'm not ignoring you. And I hope that's clear. Okay, continuing on. C, a building, there are none. D, finance. Kristen, you can walk us through an adjustment of property taxes. Kristen, are you with us?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
All right. So this is a 357 adjustment. This one was a little bit different in that MPAC had contacted us and said that this roll number had been approved by Agricor to be a farm taxable property for the 2 years, but the best way so they could change it for 2020 and forward, but the 357 was to change it for 2019. And they've confirmed that it was in fact a farm, like Agricor has accepted their application as a farm.
Okay.
Mayor Mayhew, I'll move this.
Yes. Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Cowell. Any further discussion or to Kristen? All in favor? All opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Martin, your screen's still frozen, I'm afraid. Public Works. We have the McLean Switzer drain. This is a new request. And between Andrew Neely, we'll have Andrew lead us off here. And we have Greg in the background should we need him. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, this particular request. This particular request is a subsequent request that was submitted by Reen Minima for his property that is separate from the current report that is in works by Spreet and Associates. That this section of the drain will be separate from that, and it is the drainage department's recommendation that council should accept this request. And if there are any questions with regards to this, I have included a map to show what the situation is. We did have a public scoping meeting in March to discuss this, and there were no concerns there. There was some email correspondence back and forth after that, but it was decided that there were no concerns with this request either. That is the extent of what I have at this point.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further discussion on that drain with staff? We're okay. Council, perhaps we can entertain questions to Andrew at this time if you wish. I'll call for questions. Failing which, a recommendation has been made that the council accept the request filed under section 78, 1.16 of the Drainage Act to enclose part of the McLean Switzer drain on the property of Reen Minima, Range 1 South, south part of Lot 11. May I have someone move that, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Scholdice, and seconded by Councillor Vink. Any further discussion, Council? All in favor? Carried unanimously. There is a notice motion on number 9. Councillor McGill, we'll give you the opportunity to speak on this at this time.
Well, I know that this isn't nearly as important as a lot of other things we discuss at council meetings, and it seems like a long time till the next election, but I thought if this didn't get brought up soon, especially when it might have to be looked at the county level because of the county roads in the municipality, that we should deal with it sooner rather than later. And another thing about election signs that I would like to add at this time to that motion, if that would be acceptable to the chair, is I think we should look at the starting time that election signs can be put up, because some municipalities have in their bylaw that, you know, the election signs can only go up at a certain time. And I think with our election the last time, there were signs up maybe 6 months before the election. I'm pretty sure there were signs up before I even turned in my papers saying I was going to run for election. So I just think this is something we should look at, is how many signs can be put up and where they can be put up and how soon they can be put up. And I hope the rest of you would support my idea of looking into this issue.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I will ask for a seconder on this notice of motion first, and then we will have discussion after that. Yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, you'll second the
Yes,
motion?
I will. Thank you, Mayor Mayhew.
Thank you, and we'll open it up for discussion, Council. Yes, Krista, Councillor Cowell, go ahead.
I know that Councillor McGill is correct in saying that some municipalities do have bylaws that restrict when signs could go up. And I'd love to see the report where it talks about those different municipalities, because I think especially in the summer months, perhaps there could be a benefit to having some of, to have sort of a uniform time frame, especially with grass cutting and so on and so forth. That might happen in different areas. I have never been a big proponent of making restrictions or elections more difficult. I think that municipal politics is sort of an entryway in learning how to figure things out. So for the most part, I don't know. I don't know about the rest of it, but I'd like to see a report. So I'd be supportive of that, to be able to make that kind of decision afterwards. But we've always been a big community. when I think about this, it would require a bylaw officer to police it and to take them down and to remove them, and it could be quite a bit of work during that time frame. And I think that the boulevards, fair game. But anywho, that was my comment.
Okay. Just a couple of questions to Mark, if I could. Mark, the consideration of enforcement got to me as well. Is it you would expect this to be enforced by the bylaw enforcement officer?
Well, I don't think enforcement would be that much of a problem, because you would think that people running for office might respect the, you know, the laws of the municipality they were running to represent. And, you know, it could be just, you know, things like, for example, you know, having a time where you don't need to have signs up so far ahead, I don't think, because they're in the way for the municipal guys cutting the grass along the side of the road. I saw that last election time. And then there was sometimes signs maybe too close to corners, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's more what I'm looking at.
Ideally, it would be great if the county took the initiative on it, because if there was uniformity throughout the county of Middlesex, it would be very beneficial too, because
that's what I think too.
You know, I'm wondering if there should be a discussion there. Councillor Scholdice, I saw your hand go up. Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. With the exception of Councillor Vink and myself, I believe everybody else here erected signs prior to the last election. But to the best of my recollection, they were all collected. As a rural resident, I guess my concern is that I have a lot of trees on my property. So putting a sign up on my lawn supporting a candidate would be useless. Not allowing me to put a sign on the boulevard in front of my home, an area that I and other rural residents maintain, seems very restrictive. I'm just wondering if the municipality had complaints after the last municipal election on this issue.
Okay, Councillor McGill, yes, you're allowed to retort to those comments if you wish. Yeah.
Well, I know
ahead,
there
Mark.
were some signs that weren't picked up. I saw signs in the ditch, you know, a month or two after the election was over. So, but that could happen anyway, I suppose. Although it's probably a lot less apt to happen if the signs were just on people's private property. But it's just a motion to call for a report, and then after we got the report, we decide just what we wanted to change.
Okay, yes, Councillor Crothers, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, from my observation, it wasn't so much the lower tier candidates as far as municipal candidates that were left out. It was more school board, provincial, maybe county. That's the ones I saw. As far as I think the local candidates that I can remember, I know I was out within a day or two and had everything picked up. And I'm pretty sure everybody else pretty much did too. But I also picked up quite a lot of ones for actually one school board member that I kind of knew. So as a favor, there was some people picking up signs for them, sometimes quite a ways after the election, but I didn't see the municipal end of it myself. Very little.
Okay. Any other questions, council? I'd like to ask Jill's comment, questions to Jill in here, if she would be kind enough to join the conversation. Jill knows the protocol cold on this. Jill, terminology such as amending sign bylaws goes through my mind on this. Is this a figment of my imagination, or is this something that would actually have to be done?
Oh, correct, Your Worship. Yes, if council were to determine that they wanted to make a change, it would require a change to the municipal sign bylaw, and I think as likely referenced in the motion, it would also require some type of change to a county sign bylaw because of the county roads through the municipality.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Councillor Crothers, go ahead.
Yeah, mentioning county, actually what you said, Al, before, it's possibly county because I'm just thinking most of the signs that I can think of are on county roads where they're visible to the most people. Not too many way down in the back of Scott's Misery somewhere. So.
No. Okay. I can, council, any further discussion? I don't want to leave anyone out. I'll call the question is asking for a staff report to come back to council. All in favor? All opposed? Looks like motion is carried. Okay. Oh, Martin, were you for? I'm losing Martin again. Jill, I want to make sure that we voted on that properly. I think we did. Even if Martin voted against that motion, I believe it's still passed. But Martin's hand, I waited, but it came up quite late. Can we call it again? What would your wish be, Jill?
Well, that's up to you as the chair.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to call it again. Martin, are you with us? Have you got movement? No, he hasn't. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, fine. Did you vote against that motion, Martin, or for it?
May I call a recorded vote?
Yes, I voted against it, Mayor.
Okay, then you voted against it. We'll call the question again, and Councillor Cowell, I'll respect your wish for a recorded vote if you wish that. Okay, go ahead. Jill, I'll let you call independently, and then we've got it. We seem to be breaking up, and we'll accommodate both wishes of council. Martin, you froze on me again, Martin, so I could not see your vote. Councillor, and I'm asking council to re-vote on this, and I'm going to, out of courtesy, accept Councillor Cowell's wish for a recorded vote. I have no problem with that as chair at all. Jill, call them one at a time, and you'll begin with Councillor McGill, I guess.
I'll begin with Councillor Cowell, if that's okay.
All right. Yep, no problem.
One moment. Okay, so Councillor Cowell.
Yes.
Councillor Vink.
No.
Councillor Bartlett.
Yes.
Councillor Scholdice.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Yes.
Mayor Mayhew.
No.
Councillor McGill.
Yes.
And Councillor Crothers.
No.
And the motion carries.
Okay, thanks very much, council. And we'll make sure that in the fall we bring it up at county council, that discussion too. I'd be interested in their opinion on that. Council, getting back to our agenda, we're on number 10. Correspondence and petitions. Jill, I have none.
I think
That's
you
correct.
have one other notice of motion, Mayor Mayhew.
Oh, I do. Okay. Yes, I do. Thank you for bringing that. Councillor Scholdice is expected to move this motion. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Scholdice.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I just had a little bit of background for the rest of council why I brought it forward. I was contacted by a couple of owners of multi-unit buildings in Wardsville and Glencoe with questions regarding bin distribution and billing. I suggested that they contact the municipal office, but they preferred I bring it forward at a meeting and get back to them. In one instance, the owner has a fourplex and we're concerned about having 8 bins there. Since we spoke, she has confirmed with me that they received 2 bins, but want to ensure that they don't be billed for 1 set per each unit. The second instance is a 3-story building in Wardsville, where the manager has informed me they do not have enough space for all of the bins and are also wondering about the placement of bins for pickup. I think it would be very beneficial for all councillors to know the policy on this for when we are approached. And that is why I've asked for this report to come forward.
Okay, thank you. Council, I noticed the motion. Yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. So I brought this up to Jill and Greg probably two and a half months ago, because I too was contacted back in early spring from some tenants that were concerned about the amount, a number of bins that would be placed at their units. To the best of my knowledge, I've been checking in with Jill on a probably bi-weekly basis on this. And Jill and Greg, along with Waste Management, have been trying to address each multi-unit building in Southwest Middlesex. So I'm just wondering, Councillor Schuldice, if Jill could give us an update today that we could all benefit from, and we could take that back to the concerned owners of these buildings. So I'm asking Jill if you could give us all an update.
Mayor Mayhew,
Yes,
through
go
you?
ahead.
Okay, sure, great. So we have spent a fair amount of time working with Waste Management, Greg, and actually Denny has done a tremendous amount of work on a lot of the pieces of this project. And multi-residential properties was one of the questions that we knew we'd be dealing with. And we knew that we would have to check and see, because there will be some individual responses and different situations. So probably I would suggest, and maybe Greg can jump in here as well, we've got about 90% of the delivery of what's been delivered so far, people are good with. And those that want something a little bit different, particularly with those multi-residentials, we've been working with them. We asked Waste Management to put together pricing for us, so that if bins instead of the wheeled carts were something that the multi-residential property owners wanted to look at instead, if they had spots for that on their property, we had that option available. So some of this is coming as we're going through it, and I think that I would have to say, actually, I have received such high praise from a number of people, particularly around the work and interaction that Denny has provided in being a point person for us. So I want to take this opportunity to thank him, but he has actually been asked to be thanked by other members of the public who called me this week to let me know that they're just having a really good interaction with the municipality because of the work he's done. The contact at Waste Management has also commended Denny on the work that he's been doing sort of day in, day out, taking those calls. But every single one that comes through, we're working through and making sure that we can resolve the issue. Some of it we, if there's an opportunity to change things in the future, we can think about that. But we are moving forward with the program that council adopted, and excited. I think seen a lot of comments on Facebook and some questions, and we're trying to answer those. So if you've got them, please send them our way. And maybe if I could, if you would let Greg speak to some of the information about how many carts have been delivered already and how that's going with Waste Management.
Am I okay to speak, Mayor Allen?
Yes. Go ahead. Yes, Greg, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, and through you. Currently, we've, between Waste Management and ourselves, there's been about 2,100 bins of the 5,200 that will be delivered, that have already been delivered to residents. The other thing to remember about multi-res units is that it's an active, ongoing conversation that we're having with all multi-res units, whether they're in Melbourne, whether they're in Glencoe or Wardsville, simply because we want the the right bins there. So in the case, like, we have multi-res units that have 12 units, so that would mean 24 bins. So we're in discussions with those owners of those particular facilities to have front-end bins put into those facilities. The cost is pretty much a wash when you take off the cost of the price of the bins and the and the curbside service. So it would just wash out in the end. But you know, we have to also make sure that these multi-res areas have places to put these bins so that we don't have 24 bins sitting on the street. We do have cases where we have, say multi-res units of 8, and the owners have requested only 4 bins for those particular areas. So it's not about us deciding, it's about us communicating with those individual owners of these facilities to get them what they want. And at the same time, making sure that we're not, that this still works within the financial frame that's been set up for the curbside collection. So that's ongoing at this particular point, and we'll continue to monitor those conversations that are happening between Waste Management and the owners of these particular units. And Bill had mentioned 90%. I mean, this is a very complex job that's happening out there right now in the delivery to all these particular areas. So I would encourage any counselors that get questions with regards to the bins and the delivery of bins to get them through Jill or myself. We'll get them to our point person, and then Waste Management point person in the field. We'll make sure that these people are taken care of. So I did see an email earlier with regards to bins at empty lots, that type of thing. That's part of what we're doing as well. So that, if 2 bins got delivered to, say, a property that did not have a house on it, we get those lists, and then we redirect Waste Management to go pick those back up and to deliver them to another site. So I will also mention as well that each bin is coded. It has a barcode. It's scanned to the property that they're delivered to. So we do have good control over who has what bins and where they are. And we're trying to answer all these questions every day that we get from residents. And our job in the end is just to make sure that this is as seamless as it can possibly be. But it is a very complex task. It involves a lot of people. And, as I had mentioned earlier, if you do get concerns, just send them our way, and we'll make that contact, and we'll make sure that the residents are part of the process as far as the delivery of these bins. So we expect bins to be completely delivered by mid next week. And we're still going to have a couple of weeks to iron out some of the challenges that we still have left with us at that particular point. And I'm hopefully, in the case of some of the larger multi-res areas, we'll have space to put front end bins for both garbage or waste collection and recycling, and that would take that number of bins off the street. The other thing to consider is there's no charge for the bins. So certainly, we're proceeding with what council approved as far as the contract with Waste Management is concerned. Whether a unit, of 8 gets 4 bins or gets 8 bins, it's still the same cost, to the taxpayers. They don't get charged or get a separate invoice for any of these containers that they get at this particular point. The other thing I will mention is that as part of the deal that we have with Waste Management, if bins are damaged and that type of stuff, they would send a representative to take the old bin away and provide new bins at no cost to the taxpayers. So it's kind of where we are with the bins. It's a fluid type situation that we've got going every day here, and we're dealing with probably 50 to 75 calls a day. And as I mentioned before, if you can get us that information, then we'll make that contact to make sure the residents get taken care of. That's all I have for now, Mary Ellen.
Yep, thank you very much, Greg. The 2 questions are on the floor. Councillor Crothers first, followed by Councillor Vink.
Yes, 2 little questions. What is the best contact to call? To call you directly, Greg? Call the main switchboard at the town hall, or to call directly to Waste Management?
I think at this particular point, we're taking most of the calls at the municipal office. So even if you want to send us an email, we'll forward that on. We're making sure that everything does go through Denny so that we have that base information that's kept current so that we don't miss anything. So a quick call to Denny or Jill or myself would be fine.
Okay. The second part, I was approached by a business today. Now they have a very small volume of garbage, probably the equivalent of a small household. Right now, they're using a small dumpster from another distributor, but they would like to get the bins. Now, they are a business and they haven't been dealing with waste management, but they would be quite happy to. Now, is that something that can be approached to possibly get them switched over, or is that not a category that they could get it done?
I can answer that, Mayor Allen,
Yes,
if you wish.
go ahead, Greg. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Greg.
thanks for the question. Through you, Mayor Allen, the waste bylaw, the amendment to the waste bylaw is in front of you tonight, and does have a bag requirement of 4 or less. And if they had a waste of 4 bags or less, they could participate in the residential curbside program pickup. So we would just need to know that address so that we could deliver bins to them. So
okay, I'll let them know then, and that should be plenty for what they're doing. It's very little. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian and Greg. Council Amendment, and yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
Mayor
Mark.
Allen. Yes, thank you. The one question was from a business person whether they could have more than one since they're paying commercial taxes. Another thing was, when we signed the contract, I thought we were told that, and the ratepayer told me this, that there was going to be 2 different sizes of bins. And it appears that they're all the same size. And also, the third question is, if somebody doesn't want the bins, can they give them back?
Are interesting questions, but we have there has to be a process in business, Martin, and there has to be some continuity of standard to make the logistics happen. And we can't have different garbage venues for everyone in the municipality. There has to be some continuity. Greg, I'll let you address those questions there, perhaps one at a time, and see if you can work your way through it. But perhaps before Greg goes on, I was at the town hall yesterday and I experienced, just further to Jill's comments on the performance of staff, was just so admirable. These people were standing out in front of the town hall talking to every commercial building owner. There were 2 at the time that were
Uh-oh.
I think Alan's frozen now.
Can you hear us, Alan? Oh, well, there, Mayor Mayhew has disappeared from the screen. So Deputy Mayor, would you like to take over and just take a brief recess so we can try to get him back online?
Yes, I can do that. We will take a very brief recess. I hope it can be resolved within a few minutes. I don't want to drag this out any longer than I have to, and I'm sure the mayor would agree with me. So at this time, we will adjourn for 5 minutes, maybe shorter. Thank you.
Well, I'm back. Thank you.
He's back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I didn't touch anything. It just went. But every commercial property is unique. And Mike, you know, I don't want to give the names of these 2 individuals in public, but I'll give them to you privately. You know both of these people. And both had commercial properties. One was 2 4-plex units, and the other was, I think, a 6-plex unit. And both of those individuals had to be handled in a uniquely particular way. And that's where I compliment staff again. And as Jill alluded to, and Greg as well, that they were really getting after, and both those clients went away very happy. Greg, I'm sorry if I cut you off, Greg, but go ahead.
Oh, thanks. Through you, Mayor Allen. I try to take this from the end and remember exactly what Councillor Vink asked me, but I guess if residents do not want the bins and don't want to participate in the curbside program, then we can just get those bins picked up. So if we had that particular information, we would have Waste Management pick those up. Your other question was about the size of bins?
Yes, with the contract, I believe we were told that you could have either medium or large, and they appear to be all the same size.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Allen. I don't recall that. Certainly at the initial stages of this contract, we went with the similar bins for both waste and recycling to make this an easy transition. Is it going to be that way forever? I'm not sure. I think Waste Management is open to having conversations in 6 months with regards to people that wish to have a half-size bin. So right now it would have been difficult. They would have added a whole nother dimension to getting bins out to people and trying to make this as seamless as possible. Was there another further question through you, Mayor Allen?
Not that I'm aware of. I think 3 questions have been addressed, I believe. But Martin, are you happy with that? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Councillor Scholdice, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. The main reason for the notice of motion was to do with billing, like distribution of the bins is, I'm glad to hear that's going on, but it's mostly the billing and what these multi-unit buildings will be billed if they only need, say for instance, if a fourplex only needs the 2 bins for their needs, will they be being billed for all 4 units on their taxes?
I'll let Kristen or Greg can answer that. But if they object to what they have, all they have to do.
No, they're not objecting to anything. They just want to know.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Jill.
So through you to Councillor Scholdice, the program for waste collection and recycling collection for households and some of the commercial and industrial and institutional properties is going on the general levy. So there is no specific additional charge on any property. It's part of the general levy.
So just so I could, if I could, Mayor Mayhew.
Yes, go ahead. Mike,
Just so I follow. So somebody with a single, like somebody living on their own in a single house is going to be paying the same as somebody that owns a four unit building?
Yes, go ahead, Jill.
So the amount that they contribute towards the program is based on the assessed value of the property.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. There will be some glitches on that. The mayor's wife wasn't very happy with them when they were delivered. I had 4 bins in front of my house, and Denny was puzzled by that as to how that could happen. But then I've got 2 tax bills. I own land behind my house, and so the computer generated 2 drop-offs of a set of bins. So I ended up with 4. So there will be the odd glitch, but as Greg indicated, it is a huge job. And but we'll get through it. There'll be a few wrinkles to iron out, but I'm sure that we will have a very positive collection system. That notice of motion has been moved and by Mike. Did we get a seconder on that? Councillor Crothers, are you seconding that motion?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, any further discussion? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Cal.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I just would like to maybe have seen this as a report sort of to come after the fact that talked about things we did well, things we could have done better, things staff were happy about, and positive changes this might make overall. And I'm not sure that that's what this is asking for just now. So I guess I don't know what I want in the sense of saying like a friendly amendment to say maybe that this isn't necessarily such a time restraint, but this could be sort of an informative sort of thing that council gets that says a little bit more detailed about the overall process. Obviously, when the busyness that we're currently seeing has subsided a little bit, and that way we could hear some of the comments that we've heard, positive, negative, otherwise, to be included in that. So it's more than just one dimension of information that we're getting.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kell. Councillor McGill?
Well, I think I could support this, but I think pretty well all the questions have been answered here tonight. Could this report be something as simple as maybe Jill just sending us all an email and just kind of summarize what we were told tonight, so that we kind of have it in writing? So if somebody asks us about these things, we can, tell them. I think one of the main points was, how much are these people going to have to pay? And well, they're really not paying anything, and no separate charge on their taxes. It's just all the entire cost of this is being borne under the general tax levy, which is something at another point we could look into, because I know not all municipalities do it that way.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Councillor Scholdice?
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'd be happy. I'm okay with that suggestion if it's just in the form of an email, just that we have the information so that we can get it out there.
Okay. And out of courtesy, we'll ask staff, Jill, can you live with that?
Certainly.
Okay. All
And
right, is it
particularly
necessary
the
to
bill.
call it to a vote, or is just a request to administration? Just a request to administration, I think we could leave it at that.
Good.
We'll get back to looking after our residents, and we'll have the information that the councilors need. Okay, continuing on.
Do you want to call the vote then?
No vote.
I don't think a vote's necessary, Jill. We determined that of just a request to admin to give us an email.
Okay.
All right.
So the mover and seconder are all right with that.
Okay, well, yeah, we better ask. Yeah. Okay. Is that all right with you? Do you want to call the vote? Let's call the vote, council. It's been moved and seconded. It's been amply discussed. All in favor of the recommendation?
This is for a summary to be emailed to all of us, so we can refer back.
Yes. An
Okay, I'm in
informal
favor.
summary. Yes. Informal summary. Opposed? Carried. Correspondence and petitions, Jill, I have none.
Correct.
Unfinished business, I have none. New business, there is none. Well, there is one, yes. There is one that was forwarded. There was a question regarding River Road by a councillor. It was Councillor Vink that perhaps mentioned that. River Road is not opened at present. It is still closed. But Greg, if you would like to give just an update status on River Road, I think the question was regarding, it came up in the vouchers, and I asked Martin that to be deferred to number 12, that it could be discussed. If Greg, would it be possible to just give a brief status of where we sit with River Road at present?
Yeah, no problem. Through you, Mayor Allen. I think Councillor Vink wanted to know when the road would be opened to the public, and our hope is by the beginning of next week. So we just had it recently graded and recently calciumed, and I was hoping to get through one. Maybe we got it today. As I was leaving work today, it was raining fairly decent up there, and I just wanted to make sure that we could handle handle another big weather event, and we're hoping that happened this weekend, and we should be slated to have that open beginning of the week, next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. Martin, that satisfy you okay?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's good, Mayor.
Good, thanks very much. County Council and Conference updates. There's nothing really urgent or pending. Announcements, Council, are there any? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Vink. Go ahead, Councillor Vink.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Allen. This is councillor comments, right?
No, it's announced. Yeah, it can be. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I received 2 emails, one from Glencoe, one from Wardsville, in regards to service line warranty program. I just got a short letter, which I would like to read. We just received an important message from the municipality of Southwest Middlesex. At first, I thought it was a bill, but it was a promotion for insurance for sewer and water line coverage. This is a hard sell, make it look like it was a personal message from Southwest Middlesex. I do not appreciate Southwest Middlesex using their relationship with me to promote a private insurance company. I would have appreciated receiving an unbiased letter that recommended several companies for me to choose from. And the email from Wardsville, the lady told me that when she first looked at it, thought it was a scam, and looked at the Southwest Middlesex website. Because of these emails, I want to make a notice of motion that we relook at this agreement that we have with this company, because it's quite obvious to me that they've made it look like that it's us that's selling it and not a private company.
Thank you, Councillor Vink. Communications went out to council that if you check your private insurance coverage, very often these codicils do not include the damage that they're referring to. And secondly, I believe the public were advised to check their homeowner's insurance policy and consult their own insurer to see if they were covered or not because of this particular type of plumbing or water damage. And Jill, you could clarify it and perhaps more eloquently put it in terms, but we were cognizant of the fact that we were not selling anything. It was only information that was going out to the public, and we wanted to make sure that they were aware of all circumstances involved with it. I'll let you respond to Martin's comments.
Sure, this was an opportunity for a municipal partnership that is offered through the business arm of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, so the LAS, and they look at and then promote certain opportunities for municipalities. This is one of them. They do have other things that they provide as well. They range from meeting investigation services to energy savings programs, etc. So this is available to all municipalities in Ontario. It's something that each council can consider. There are a number of municipalities that have endorsed the partnership. It's not an insurance company. This is a partnership and a program. It's not the municipality's program, but it just allows the information to go out to the residents if the municipality has approved the partnership. So that's what's happened, and council endorsed this. I can't remember exactly how long ago, but it was a few months ago, and the circulation of the information has gone out. So in the email, I provided some links to other municipalities that also have this same service. So you would see places like the City of Hamilton, the City of Windsor, but smaller municipalities as well, like the town of Lincoln. So it's not unique to us. And by all means, anybody who thinks that they have insurance coverage, there's certainly no obligation, no requirement that anybody do anything at all. But oftentimes, as the mayor mentioned, homeowners insurance is going to cover some of those lines that you have that can be costly.
Thank you, Jill. I think too that one has to take into consideration that we have extreme weather events with very, very heavy rainfalls at times, and that sometimes can create problems, and we've witnessed that. But that was my indication of it.
Mayor Allen, I may be able to add some quick information here that may help out.
Go ahead, Greg. Thank you.
So the program was launched on the 30th of June. It takes into account all the work that would be performed for any of the residents if they decided that their home ownership insurance didn't cover the lateral lines or the plumbing and sanitary service. And even in the case of rural residents, it could be your well or it could be a septic system. You know, all the work that's done on those particular areas and contracted by Service Lines Canada is with local contractors. So there is a boost to the economy here, which is a good thing. You know, and the other thing is that it is the decision of the landowner. I mean, the municipality is basically saying to residents that here's this service that, you know, AMO and LAS are putting out there, and you know, if you think it's an advantage to have it in your home and your home ownership insurance doesn't cover it, then feel free to contact them. We had put this information on our website, on the Facebook page, and it did go out with the economic development officer as well, to try to get the information out on our end. There are contacts on the information that went to every household in the municipality for them to call at Service Lines Canada to get further information on this program. And if you remember back, council did receive Elsie Dostal from Service Lines Canada as a presentation to council. Council endorsed it, and then we executed the agreement, which council wanted us to do, and that's what's in place now. We did take some calls today at the office, and I took some of those calls and explained to people what the situation was. You know, there's a lot of positive things about this particular arrangement that we do have with AMO and LAS on this service line project. So I just thought I would add that in.
And thank you. It's appreciated, Greg. Thank you. Martin, what direction do you want to take on this? Go ahead, Martin. Yeah.
Well, I will contact Jill. I would still like to have a notice of motion because the way I remember it, they were only going to use us for our information. But they've made it look like that this came from our office. And I'm sure that they were asked, and I don't believe that they followed up to what they said. So I still want to make a notice of motion to re-look at this contract.
Okay, just to clarify that, you'll bring that before the next meeting?
Yes, Mayor Allen, I will contact Jill.
Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it at that then. And Councillor Cal, I noticed you had your hand up. By all means, go ahead, Krista.
I remember when Service Line came to speak to us, because at the time I wasn't sure it would have any impact on me as a rural resident, and looked into it further. I have also received the exact same information from my own insurance company, because they also use Service Line as a provider, as an additional thing that I can add to my insurance. So I have received this material twice. I do remember very explicitly, because I have a background in marketing and have sent marketing material out before and had other companies send marketing material on my behalf, that in the agreement, Service Line in fact did say they would be sending out marketing material on the services they provide on our behalf. That was something that was included in the presentation. It was something we were made aware of when we made the decision to have an agreement, and it's something that perhaps we should have remembered when this information was coming back out again, because we had been made aware of it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cowell. Councillor McGill, go ahead.
Could someone on staff send us the flyers that have been sent out, or the letters? I haven't seen one yet. I'd like to be able to look at it.
You'll have that opportunity before the notice of motion comes forward in the next council meeting. Okay. All right. Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I had to move. I was going to lose power here. I'm down to 10%. So that tells me our meeting's gone on a little longer than the last meeting. Mayor Mayhew, if I could just take a minute to talk to council about the AMO conference this year in August. For those of you.
Yeah, that's great. Are we done this discussion on this insurance?
sorry.
We're awaiting a notice of motion. Yep, we're awaiting a notice of motion on that. And Councillor McGill, you'll have time to reflect and study that letter. Okay. All right. Yep. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Go
My
ahead.
apologies, Mayor Mayhew. I thought you
No
were
problem.
done with that. So I do apologize. So I just want to take a moment to talk to speak to council about AMO and the different format this year. Of course, with the pandemic, the conference has been canceled. However, they are going ahead with the conference in a virtual format. And it, as you can imagine, requires no travel. You can have the luxury and the convenience of taking in the conference this year from the comfort of your own home or office. So given that the conference is an entirely different format this year, and that as I said, requires no travel, I would highly recommend that all council members take the opportunity to register and be involved on behalf of your community. I'll also say that I haven't attended all of the AMO conferences over the last number of years, but for those that I have attended, I always look forward to the hallway discussions and the networking that the conference usually provides. This year, there's a real opportunity for those who usually cannot get away to participate. So I think that's a plus for Southwest Middlesex Council. I know that we have requested ministry delegations, and Jill, I'm not sure exactly how many. I'm sure you'll give us an update once we've heard more on those. And it's always helpful to speak together as a council, power in numbers, and to show a strong support on a local issue when you meet with the ministers. So that's just something I wanted to bring up tonight. There's still lots of time to register, and I'd look forward to seeing everybody be involved this year in AMO. Thank you, Mayor Mayhew, for giving me that opportunity.
No problem. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Cal, did I see your hand? Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to, our Glencoe Fair Board often does a lot in this community, and this year, and a lot of the things they do raise money to help pay their bills when it comes to the fair and the tractor pull and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to remind everybody that on they are doing a chicken drive-through meeting on the dinner on the 15th of July. So I've already bought my tickets, but the rest of you should too.
Yep.
They are hoping to have all their tickets in by Sunday.
I've got them. Thank you.
I've ordered mine.
Yeah. Okay.
We got ours.
Where can they get them?
Online, if you follow the Glencoe Fair Board, you can I shared a couple of their posts and you can order it online. I sent an e-transfer to the Glencoe Fair Board and the information was there. And there's 2 telephone numbers. I texted them and they just let me know where I needed to send it and so on and so forth.
Yeah, good. That's great. Mike will make good use of that information, I'm sure. Okay, Council, just briefly, I want to thank Deputy Mayor Wilkins, Councillor Bartlett. We've got Councillor Crothers, my wife as well, for handing out sparklers on Canada Day. It was quite a different Canada Day, but we got through it just fine. Many families celebrated within their own bubbles, and we could see that when we were passing out sparklers and good wishes to those in our community. We passed out a number in front of the municipal building. We had sandwich boards up, and I took some around to the pool, and the staff out there, as the children left the premise, they were passed out to them as well. There happened to be an ice cream venue at the station that day, and we kept an eye on that when children were around, and we made sure that anyone in that vicinity around our famous station, they got sparklers as well. So thank you again for those who participated. We appreciate it very much, and hopefully next Canada Day will be a little different. No more announcements? Okay, number 15, closed session, none are anticipated. Bylaws, there's two. The first one regarding the appointment of a deputy clerk for the Corporation of Southwest Middlesex. I just want to advise council that I had the pleasure of Jill introducing Kendra to me yesterday, I believe. The days are kind of melding together, but I believe it was yesterday, and I was very impressed with the individual I met in my office. A very charismatic individual, and I'm sure you'll be very pleased with both her work, her skill level, and certainly her personality. Bylaw, being a bylaw to appoint a chief building official who you met tonight. And of course, the third bylaw to amend the procedure bylaw to include Drainage Act public meeting protocol on July 8th, so we can do it electronically. The fourth one is can I play two bylaw to enter an agreement with the County of Middlesex. The fifth bylaw is to amend collection and disposal of solid waste recycling. That we can, that is necessary to undergo the new system we are going into. And of course, the last one is the confirming bylaw. I'll make sure I have discussions on that. If someone would move first, second, and third, I'll take
So
that.
moved.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councilor Crothers. Council, please feel free to ask any questions on these six bylaws. Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Future meetings subject to change. Jill, I think there's been a feelers put out on July 15th, and you're probably awaiting some of that information back yet, but kind of earmark that date. Is that correct, Jill? I would think it was on the 15th we were talking about that meeting. Okay, it's not on my agenda, but I know that date was kicked around, and it is a single subject, perhaps a single subject or two subject meeting. Jill and I are discussing that, and we'll work on that. Failing which, we will adjourn the meeting at 9:40. Council, thank you very, very much for your patience and your time and our technical glitches. I don't know where I disappeared to there, but I must have been a Wi-Fi connection problem. Thank you again. Jill, thank you. Greg, thank you.
Good night.
Andrew Neely, if you're still there, thank you. And appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Hey.